Hey, it's Lisa with a love note for March 7th. I'm gonna have to yell to be heard over the sound of this engine. I never thought I would be the kind of girl who would get excited about that sound. I don't know. Today, the guides wanted to talk about joy and being willing to recognize what brings us joy and to do more of that, whatever that is for you. For me, outside in this Jeep, hearing that noise, being by the water, this is joyful to me. And so I try to do this as much as I can. What brings you joy? I mean, legitimately, what brings you joy? Because whatever brings you joy matters. And we often forget that. You know, sometimes we go through life and we're so practical and we're so logical and, you know, focused on all the adulting stuff that we forget that joy is an incredible compass for an even better life, You know, there was one time in my life when I actually said the words out loud. I think joy is just not in the cards for me this go around. I was in, you know, a relationship and a situation where I felt that the only way to do like what I thought my soul was being called to do on earth was to just live a joyless existence. That sucks. That completely sucks. And then I realized that if I actually believe in a loving God, if I actually believe that the guides and that the divine and that the angels and everything else loves me and wants me to be happy, then joy has to be a part of that equation. Part of it is they want to see us joyful and joy-filled. And I had to like shift my entire thinking and decide to pursue joy in my own life. And I'm telling you, that decision has made all the difference. Left a relationship, decided to start leaning into what filled me up, you know, with what gave me energy, with what brought me happiness. And it's made all the difference. You know, sometimes we find ourselves in situations that are joyless. And it's almost like that old, you know, the old analogy of a frog and boiling water. If you throw the frog in a pot of boiling water, it instinctively jumps out. When you put a frog in water and turn the heat up under it, all the joy might be leaving. The frog doesn't even realize what's happening until it, you know, boils to death. And it kind of feels like being willing to stay in a completely joyless existence is like that frog in the pot of water where just the heat keeps getting higher and higher and hotter until there's no more frog, you know? Your joy matters. And who knows what that is for you? I want this to be an interactive conversation. So you let me know, please, what brings you joy? You know, I'm out by the lake right now and there's people out fishing. My guess is that brings them joy. You know, maybe it's listening to your grandkids giggle. Maybe it's the smell of puppy breath. Maybe it's doing art or reading or singing or dancing, or I have no idea. I would love to know what your joy is. What brings you joy? And if you haven't thought about it recently, if you haven't thought about what brings you joy, give yourself a minute and just do that. I mean, seriously, just think about what is it that lights you up? What brings you joy from the inside? What makes you so happy or gives you energy that to go on, especially when times get tough? I see Kim saying that soaking up the sun brings you joy. Yay, yay. And for some of us, when there is no sun, that can be a real challenge, right? The encouragement today is to just remember that you are loved. And part of the aspect of being loved is a recognition that you are totally worthy of joy. And sometimes we have to get out of the situations that might feel joyless. We have to stop standing in the way of our own joy. We have to stop settling for what we know, if what we know feels like crap, and be willing to really think about what's joyful and to pursue it. And that can be really freaking scary. It might be, you know, the idea of taking up a new hobby. It might be thinking about your job and is there a possibility to find more joy in your job? It doesn't have to be wholesale change. Sometimes it's taking a different mindset or approach to the things that we already do. Sometimes just even a different way of thinking about things can allow greater joy to come in. I see my mom watching. She says, "You make me happy and fill my life with joy." Mama, you're the best. I love you. You fill my life with joy too. I've needed to get out in my Jeep. I was so glad to get it started today and so glad to hear that goofy rumbling engine and be on the road. Just hoping people will just pass on by because I'm going to go slow and that's okay. But really thinking about what brings you joy and knowing that you're worthy and deserving of it. That life is better with it. And we all might experience things that stand in the way of joy. And do we have the courage and do we love ourselves enough to think about how to bring more of that joy into our lives? I see Kim say paving the path for others to live their best life brings you joy. Yay. Anita coloring, sitting on my deck, watching birdies, talking to toddlers, talking to plants brings you joy. I love all of that. I see Lowell's watching and I know riding your Harley brings you joy, I have to guess. There's so many things. And your joy might look very different from somebody else's joy, and that's totally okay. The opportunity is to just know what your joy is. And if you don't know, you're the only one that can find that answer for you. You are the only one who can figure it out. So, my wish for you is a heart filled with joy and a knowing that you're worthy of that joy, and the time and energy that you invest in your own joy is going to pay massive returns on that investment. So know always that you are loved. No, Lola's saying know your worth. Absolutely know your worth. And when you know your worth, then you know that you're worthy of all the amazing joy this life can offer and even more. So have a fantastic Sunday, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.